Hello and welcome to another episode of the Organic Adventure Show. I am your host, Cy Rodriguez, and today we're going to be talking about questions around the vegan diet and supplements. So a lot of people might be interested in the vegan diet or are wondering if it would be healthy for them or a healthful lifestyle choice for them. And there's all kinds of questions that come up, like which kind of vegan diet would be good? Should you do a raw food diet or just a diet that whatever is a vegan diet but just doesn't include any animal products? Does it make a difference if it's high fat or low fat or high carb or low carb? Should you use supplements or not? And what about fortified foods, foods that have added nutrition to them? Are those good? I heard an interesting show recently. A woman was talking about how she was losing her hair, and it was because she had too many supplements. So I just wanted to touch on the supplements a little bit, and I wanted to start off with vitamin B12, because B12 is one of the vitamins that a lot of people are lacking in general, but it's pretty widely known that the vegan diet doesn't include a lot of foods that have B12, and the ones that do might not be efficient sources of B12. And the reason why is there's something called B12 analogs, and analogs are types of compounds that take up the receptor sites of things that resemble them. For example, the B12 analog would take up receptor sites of the actual B12 so that the B12 couldn't be used, and the body would almost be getting a mimic of what it really needed, but not actually getting the benefits. So, for example, there are some analogs in certain seaweeds and certain algae of B12 that may not be human active B12. Now, some people do claim that chlorella has human active B12, and some forms of spirulina have forms of human active B12, and this might be true. It's just that there hasn't been a lot of research on those particular items to find out the truth of how much and is it really human active B12. So you might be wondering, why would you need vitamin B12? Well, it's needed for normal function of the brain and the nervous system, and the formation of blood and regulation of homocysteine, and also for cell metabolism, especially DNA synthesis, but also fatty acid synthesis. And the homocysteine factor, if it's high, then B12 helps to lower it. And so does folate and vitamin B6, but B12 plays a major role. And if you have high homocysteine levels, then you're more prone to things like cardiovascular disease, and especially in elderly people, they're more prone to fracturing of bones. And this is due to an effect of high homocysteine levels affecting the bone by interfering with the way that the collagen and the tissues it supports cross-link. So those are some of the reasons that you would want to have B12 in your diet. And another reason would just be to prevent the deficiencies, and the deficiencies can be pretty serious. And some of them are pernicious anemia, and this is when somebody lacks something called intrinsic factor. And this can be caused from excessive alcohol consumption, but it also can be caused by a lack of B12 in the diet. And that causing damage to the parietal cells or the epithelial lining of the stomach, which is kind of the surface cells of the stomach. That is where intrinsic factor is produced, and when that surface is damaged, it's not able to secrete the intrinsic factor. So even if you get B12 and you're not producing intrinsic factor, then you wouldn't be able to utilize the B12 that you're getting, at least not enough of it. The good thing is they have found that super high doses taken orally do help to increase B12 serum levels in people who take those high doses, even if they're lacking intrinsic factor. That means somehow some of the B12 is getting through the acidic environment of the gut and making it into the intestines where it's actually absorbed without the intrinsic factor. But the intrinsic factor is essential for proper utilization of B12 and for using it in the amounts that it would normally occur in a person's diet. So those things being said, there are a lot of meat products or animal products that have some levels of B12, and there are still a lot of people, even who eat animal products, who are still deficient. You can take significant amounts of vitamin B12 with no noticeable effects, negative effects, I should say. But it would be best to just stay within the realm of what's recommended, and you can get B12 in a number of different ways. One way you get it in many supplements is in the form of cyanocobalamin, and this is not actually what the body produces. It's a synthetic form, but your body can actually break it down and utilize the cobalamin or the B12 to create the necessary kinds of B12 that the body uses, but it's not very effective at doing it, or it's not as effective as doing it as using the very best kind. At least most people would agree on this, to take internally would be methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin is the kind that the body actually utilizes, so it doesn't have to biosynthesize it from, or transmutate it from a synthetic form. So I'm using these words the best that I can right now. Anyways, methylcobalamin is the kind that you want to take. And it also, just a couple other symptoms of deficiencies would be the decay of the myelin sheaths around your nerves, which obviously is not good, and degeneration of parts of the spinal cord. So these are some answers to the question of should we take supplements, or this is one answer to the question of should we take supplements or not, and does the vegan diet provide what you need in the way of B12? And the answer is pretty much, for most people, it probably doesn't provide enough B12. It's good to supplement with it. Now, I answer these questions and many more in my new book and program called Sexy Fit. So this program, Sexy Fit, has health information in a general sort of way, from the very basics to the cutting edge. And I believe it provides some of the best insight and understanding into health of anything that's out there, coming from anyone. This book is really something that can help you for a lifetime, and it's never going to get old, because the principles that are in it are things that you can grow with and you can use for a lifetime. I also do an exercise program in it, which I believe is also cutting edge, and it's based on cutting edge information, and it's something that I do, keeps me very healthy and in good fitness. And you can learn all about it in my book, Sexy Fit, and you can check it out at syrodriguez.com or www.syerodriguez.com. And thank you so much for listening to the show today. Go check out my book, and may every day be an adventure in health.